Well, Chris, as we sit here and watch the pan over of the ship, Lucas style, as someone who doesn't play a ton of puzzle games, what did you think of this experience with Stasis?
I liked parts of it. I liked the idea of hunting for clues. Was that your wife?
Maybe.
Like I said, I liked the idea of hunting for clues and through the PDAs and seeing the lore, but there were some issues with the gameplay where sometimes the glass door interaction.
The icon thing was frustrating because there was a couple times where the icons were misleading.
And that was one
of the things that would frustrate me was that I was personally leaning on the things that had the hands and stuff, but then, like you kind of mentioned, every now and again there'd be one or two things that just didn't match the normal lineup.
Outside of ripping the mandible off the queen, there wasn't really a puzzle that stuck us for too long. We got through a lot of the puzzles. We knew what all needed to happen.
Right.
But we didn't try when she smiled to rip the fucking mandibles off of her.
It was one of those things where, like, nothing was ever... we always knew what needed to happen. It was always just a matter of figuring out how. As opposed to a lot of games where you find yourself going, I got no fucking clue. We had a couple of those moments, but they were very rare.
And this is one thing that frustrates me, too, is right here. We shoot her off to unknown places for unknown reasons. You spent the entire game building this world. Sorry, I don't know what that was. A war too, I guess. Yeah, a war on humanity.
War involved, yeah.
You did all of this world building that entrenched you in. Oh, this is so fucked up, but. It's like I said, I called it almost immediately when she started to help you. No, she's gonna fuck us.
Yeah. Yeah, you did.
And because anytime there was death, she did not care.
No, yeah, you're right, now you mention it, like, when you look back, she's very clinical of, like, everything that's going on around you.
Like, you kinda, at the time, get the hint that she's just seen that shit, that she's kinda numb to it. But again, it kind of was like, well, how do you know? Why do you know? And why do you care?
Right.
I mean, honestly, if you have the way to escape this ship right now,
you should probably go.
Why the fuck do you care about me when you don't care about anybody else on this ship?
That's a good point. You're right.
And what I was saying about right now is you spend all this time world building, and I get they want to set up for a possible sequel.
Which we in the future know exists.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Oh yeah, that's how I found this game. The sequel, Kane, spelled A-Y-N, like the company, it just came out either sometime in the last year, maybe sooner than later. But yeah, that was basically how I found Stasis. I stumbled upon Kane and looked at this game kind of in the meantime. I was like, oh, well that looks fun, and you know that sequel is new, so.
I would have shown at least where the ship went with the quote wife.
It would be nice to know where it was heading. Yeah.
If it was heading to Earth or Titan or
if it was heading to, like you said, like, you know, the Earth government capital, or if it's heading to their fucking house. I mean, you know, it would be nice to know which way, you know.
Yeah. I would like at least that. I mean, you spent all this time doing all the details, but then you shot her off into space. Was it a burial? Is she dead? Because I think she is. I don't think that was her. I think that was a hybrid.
Right.
Because
that weird flashover thing at the very end.
At the very end, and plus when she found the quote body, she went, "Oh God."
Right. Yeah, you're right. This, that's an interesting theory.
I mean, it's a good game. Don't get me wrong.
Oh yeah, definitely.
I enjoyed the game. It was a good game. I was entrenched in the game.
I will say, as a seasoned vet, I've played a few more of these than Chris. It didn't seem overly easy. Like, it wasn't one of those, like, sometimes you'll play a game and it holds your hand a little too much. This certainly didn't do that.
I'm just fucking smart. I mean, that's just the thing.
Also, we are just geniuses as well.
I mean, not to brag,
but yeah, the puzzles in this one weren't crazy. Like, kind of like you said, we could always tell what needed to happen. It was just a matter of figuring out what to do.
The hand-holding part was his reactions when you tried to use an item.
Yeah, and that's traditional puzzle adventure game fare, but the one thing that a lot of games have been doing lately is you can kind of click through the stock responses to a failed try. This game didn't have that, and it felt like by the end of it, I'm like, I get it. That would be crazy right there. I move on.
What would I want to do? That would just break it. That's the fucking
We're trying
point.
to break its glass, dummy. Yeah, exactly. I am curious if there was a way to save the daughter.
I don't think there was.
Probably not, but
by the way the
ending, probably not.
Yeah, by the way the ending happened, and you had to use the blood to do the DNA, I think there was no way.
It was just the way that scene was structured. I wanted to believe there was some way you might have been able to save her.
Well, that was the point, that there was hope.
Sure, but like even just from a game fan perspective, I'm like, I want to believe there was a solution to the puzzle. You know what I'm saying? Like, not that the only solution was the little girl has to die.
That was fucked.
Yeah, I was like, man,
okay, here's also a big plot hole in that. Where'd the fucking hybrid go?
I mean, that specific hybrid?
Yeah, the hybrid that killed your daughter.
I mean, could have gone right. Oh, I mean, I think he thinks that's the one that he stomps because he goes, "This is for Rebecca."
I think he just stomped the hybrid.
Maybe.
But it just brutally murdered a small child, and then like 3 seconds later, it's fucking gone. Just no sign of it. Just shit happens.
Vanished. Well, he blacks out a few times during all that and shit, so you could argue a lot of shit if you wanted to.
Okay, that's true. But okay, top parts of this game, the back surgery was amazing.
That was, it was the one like something different, and it really stood out looking back. As like it was intense, like the way the puzzle that came up at the end where you had to do the dots, and then like just the fact it was blinking at you and sirens are going off and shit. Like it was a pretty intense moment in the game.
Yeah, like
I will say that this is a game. This game has something that a lot of games don't in this genre, which is it had like urgent moments, like time-sensitive moments where there were intense things going on. Like there were multiple times where me and you got our voices up going, "Oh shit, it's about to get like." You don't normally get that in your standard Myst or your Monkey Islands, as it were.
Yeah.
Like,
which are literally the only 2 point-and-click games I've ever played.
Well, they're two of the bigger classics that are universally referable.
But okay, worst part of the game, the tunnel.
There were a couple, the traveling back and forth stuff was bad. Not bad, but it gets tedious.
The tunnel where he was grunting the whole way while crawling.
Yeah,
and we had to just click the freaking door for him to go, "It's a glass door."
Yeah, that was a real bummer. Like there were 1 or 2 spots like that, but again, that was one of those just inconsistency in programming, and I almost wonder if they maybe haven't addressed that in the sequel. I'll be curious to see the sequel.
That's fair too. Also, are we over Earth? I think that's Neptune or Uranus. I don't know. It's a blue planet.
The cloudy atmosphere is like
lightning. Anyway.
All right, well, I think this is a good place to wrap it up. Overall, if you'd say recommend, don't recommend, or if it walks into the door, play it.
I would recommend this. I mean, especially the people that like stories.
Yep.
Like my girlfriend would love this game for the lore and the world building. She would love that.
Yeah, it's got a decent narrative. It's got some pretty good gore stuff. I mean, if you're into the horror spectacle, definitely has that.
But it wasn't scary.
It really wasn't scary.
Maybe it was gory, and it was kind of Saw scary, where you got the gore and you got the death and everything, and you got the basically the huge trap, but it wasn't. I wasn't scared, and I am.
I will say this: I think that might have something to do with the way we've been playing it. Like we've been talking a lot. The lights are on in here. Like we weren't really in that world. So like when the weird jump scare things would happen, like the hybrid jumping at you or the random screams in the soundtrack, like. We just kind of chuckled past that shit because we really haven't been in that headspace.
Yeah.
If you really were, on headphones, dark room, might have a different experience with it.
I also wonder if the point and click had something to do with it, because when you WASD something or controller, you're controlling the movement and everything, the look and all of that. That you're more entrenched, in my opinion, in the game than you are point and
You're
click.
looking over your shoulder and stuff.
Yeah, stuff's behind you. The perspective's different. But when you're on a point and click, you can click and then let go, and then you are not in the game at that point. You're just looking at it,
just experiencing it. Yeah. So yeah, I would still recommend this game. Like I say.
Definitely.
Good for if you like a narrative game, if you like a bit of a gore spectacle, if you're looking for a puzzle adventure game that's not too hardcore, but is also not so basic that you feel like you're getting walked through the puzzles. This is actually a pretty decent fit. It's kind of I'd say medium to beginner kind of style puzzle game like this.
If you want to play something that's Lost in Space meets Events Horizon, then this is the game for you.
If you want to play
because he looked just like the dad of Lost in Space.
If you want to play dumbed down Dead Space, this is pretty much the game for you.
All right, well, I think that's it for us. Everybody have fun. We'll see y'all next time.
See you next time.